Hi, welcome to Stat Sisters. My name is Carrie, and I talk each week with my sister Erin about all things nursing, with the occasional Harry Potter thrown in. We talk about the nursing topics that you care about. We also chat about nurses in the news, and most importantly, answer your questions.
Hey Erin, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Carrie?
I am so excited about today's pod.
I know.
So, what's been going on lately?
We had a great day. We had a kind of a family day today. We went to like a holiday bazaar, which kind of started getting me in the Christmas spirit. Now Halloween's over, and we've mourned the loss of our Halloween decorations around the house. Their family is ready to move. We're ready to move on. We're gonna hit Thanksgiving and then start getting ready for Christmas. And so we went to a couple local holiday bazaars at like one of the local junior highs and then at one of the local churches and just a bunch of um, handcrafted local businesses and shops with anything from soaps to fudge to jewelry, and it was just really great. And then of course there's a whole bunch of Christmas stuff too, and so we had a lot of fun with that and had some fudge and just topped it off with family
Mm.
dinner, and we just had a really good day.
Oh, that sounds
It
awesome. And also,
was.
that reminds me, you need to send me some fudge.
we didn't make the fudge, but Olivia has been begging us to make fudge, so you may get your wish this next week.
Okay, that'll be awesome. Last time you sent me fudge, I hid it in my drawer. And then one of the kids found it, and they were like, "What's up with this fudge, Mom? You're not sharing?" I'm like, "No,
That's
that's my
absolutely
present,
not.
even though I'm sure you addressed it for the family." I
As mother,
I was like,
you get to decide.
there's a limited supply, yeah. But I like made that last through January. I was like, it was so good.
That's
It
hilarious.
always tastes better when you don't cook it yourself,
Well,
but it's still good.
yes, because you don't have to do the work.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is so good. And I don't make fudge. I make a bunch of other stuff, but not delicious fudge.
Well, I
So
make fudge, so you're
we
good.
did some.
You're covered. You don't need to
Yes,
make fudge. I do it
we
for you.
are covered. And I'm very happy that you were looking at all those handcrafted items and wanting them, I'm supposing, because you'll be happily surprised with your Christmas box.
Yay! Carrie's amazing. She plans Christmas presents like for the entire family starting in like I don't know, August or something ridiculous like that. And then she handcrafts them and makes them for, the next however many months until Christmas, and they're always fabulous. So,
Well, thank you. Um, Not all of them have held up as well as others. And so I'm like a very like amateur crafter. I do not have my own craft room. I am not that level, or I don't have like the mom shed outside. Have you seen those?
no, but oh wait, you know what? I was at a yard sale this summer that had one, and holy moly. I was like,
It's
dang.
so awesome. Well, I don't have that, and I don't have that a lot of time. So sometimes, like the things I think look are really great, I'm like, then like a couple years later, I'm like, huh, not that great.
Well, one of yours from like 3 years ago is still on our place of honor on our couch. So we love it. Your
And
pillows.
they're very well
They
preserved.
are, and they've been through the wash a few times. So, anywho,
Oh, oh, I'm surprised that they lasted through the
I
wash.
was kind of too, but I was desperate. So,
Yeah, I still haven't made those for my own family. My
mm,
daughter reminds me every few months. She's like, "So when are we gonna get the Ron
yeah.
pillow?"
What we're referring to, lovely listeners, and we will put a picture of this on our blog. Carrie did these amazing Harry Potter pillows, like throw pillows, a few years ago for Christmas, and I felt like I was 11 years old opening my presents again or something. It was so amazing.
I can't remember. Did you know ahead of time?
Yes, I did, but it did
Okay,
not even dampen it at all. I was so pumped. I was so pumped.
I can't remember if I was like showing you like as
I
I was
think
going.
you,
I think
I
yeah, I
think you
did.
did, and I was just like, I can't wait. Best sister ever.
Well, I do have a craft closet, which is like the Harry Potter cupboard under the
Uh huh.
stairs, and it's like full of stuff. It's like all in the Amazon packages, but I haven't done it yet. But anyway, speaking of Harry Potter, week is like super
Boop, boo, doo,
important
doo.
because Thursday.
Fantastic Beasts Girls. It's coming up. I'm so excited to go meet Newt. I'm so excited. I think this is going to be fabulous.
I hope so.
I really
I'm a
hope so.
little sketchy on Johnny Depp. Like, have you heard?
What?
He's like in it.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. There's like an outrage on the internet about that he's gonna be in the series.
See, and I guess my feed is inundated with politics right now. So I can't
I
see
know.
anything else, unfortunately, for me. So, no, I knew that I knew Colin Farrell was in it, of course, because you see him in all of the trailers. But no, I didn't hear about Johnny Depp.
Oh
So
yeah.
that'll. Ooh, don't tell me anymore. I want it to be a surprise. But now I'm
Okay.
intrigued. But no, I'm excited because there's going to be
I
five. Joe announced that there will be five movies. So obviously there's going to be a lot more storylines that are kind of fabricated as they go, and maybe some purists are upset about that, like, turning The Hobbit into three movies, but I am like, bring it on. I'm so excited. And Carrie is excited, and why we are both excited. And what are we doing with our excitement, Carrie?
oh well, we are going to have a
Yeah.
giveaway. So they're for anybody that has loved the books or has not read the books, which shame on you. But if you haven't, that's okay. I'm going to suspend
Maybe
judgment.
they're in nursing school for the last 20 years.
Maybe. So there
You kind of
are
have
now
been.
illustrated versions of the first and second novels, and
Yes.
so my son, who is homeschooled, part of his curriculum. Surprise! I introduced Harry Potter into
It's
it,
genius.
and and he has problems with reading comprehension. So we like got him this book with it has 100 illustrations, and the illustrator, I should give her a shout out, but I don't know who it is, but she is amazing. They look wonderful, and so he read that book and he loved it, and we were thinking, what better way to reward our listeners than to give either that first book or the second book out? Because some people might have that first book. So it will ask which one you would like, and then we will send it to you. And the way that you enter to win is to subscribe to our Facebook page and share, invite people, and comment because we want to get our nursing, or I'm sorry, we want to get Stat Sisters out there. So thank you so much for already doing that. But we're gonna have a special post where we say share this, like it, and comment. And then also you need to be a subscriber.
Yes,
So
on our Stat Sisters page, and that gets you in the running for the drawing that we're going to do for this giveaway. And we will be running it we're starting it on the launch, aren't we, Carrie? November 18th, and running it through December 1st.
yes, so December 1st is the day we will announce the winner.
Yes, and it's going to be great. The illustrator, by the way, is Jim Kay. I know we had Mary Grandpré for the cover art for the Harry Potter books, so now we're getting used to a whole new illustrator, and it's pretty exciting. I love this. So we're tying our two loves together, our nerdiness, or are we geeks or nerds? I always mix them up.
I am definitely a
Nerds, see, and I
nerd.
always say geeks. Whatever you consider yourself, we love you and we welcome you.
Yeah.
Anyways, like our Facebook page, share, comment, comment, and share our post for this giveaway, and you'll be entered in the drawing starting from November 18th to December 1st, and then we will announce the winner and blow you up all over Facebook if you want, and all of our other platforms on Twitter and Instagram. And it's going to be super exciting, so be looking for that in this week to come.
Okay, so maybe we should get to some nursing
Maybe.
topics.
That might be a really good idea. Okay. All right, so to go ahead and
Okay.
get us started, Carrie girl.
Okay. Okay, Aaron. So, we're going to hail back to a time long ago when we were in nursing school and talk about our best and worst nursing school class. I have two worst because I have actual nursing school and then I have the worst class that I took in graduate school, which I just
Oh.
have to talk about. So I'm going to talk about that first.
Okay. Go.
Okay, so there's a class called pathophysiology that you have
Hmm.
to take in grad school, and it's awesome because you learn so much
So
about.
much. I loved it.
Yes. Well, it's a little intense on the grad level. It's intense in any time, but
Right, I can imagine.
so I was in this class and it was called something like pathophysiology. Like pretty much you could totally know if you sign up for this class, this is what it is. And so my school was in a transition, and so I took this class, and then they had changed the names of a bunch of classes. And so on like my course list, this other class popped up, and it said something not pathophysiology, and I was like, okay, I need to take that, and so I signed up for it. And after the first week, I was like, huh, I feel like I have taken this class before,
No.
and it was patho again, which is like the hardest class.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was too late to drop it
No
because
way.
then it wasn't too late to drop it. It was too late because of I couldn't get into a different class that I needed that semester, and because of my financial aid and like my full time status and everything,
Right,
like
you
I
had to
had
keep
to
your
just take
credits.
it. Yeah,
Again?
and so I
They
took
let
it
you in.
twice.
No.
Yeah,
They let you enroll in it again? That's blows my
yeah, because
mind.
it was a different course number. It was the same class, but they had restructured everything
Oh,
for
that's
some reason.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh,
the
that's awful.
worst.
That's awful. And you'd think, and I'm sure those listeners out there who haven't taken patho are like, well, what's the big deal? You already took it. You should know it. Mm-mm. No, no, no,
No.
no. It's not a matter of like, oh, I remember this. Jot down the same answer as last time.
No. And because I was so upset because I'd already taken it like and suffered through it and like conquered it, I was really apathetic the second time and I actually got a lower grade.
Oh no, I could see that. Not in you, but like that would be awful. That is so bad. That's like a nightmare. Like, where you literally wake up and you're in the wrong class.
Yeah, it was terrible. But
Well, yeah,
anyway,
yuck.
do you
That
have
was
one?
awful. I liked a lot of mine. I really did. I mean, of course, med surge was really hard, like for everybody, but I wouldn't say it was a worst. It was just a lot of work. Um, I enjoyed I enjoyed patho. I enjoyed microbiology. I mean, that was a precursor, but I still really enjoyed it. It was tough, but it was really neat. Um, I really did love pediatrics and OB. Those were probably because that's where, I just loved the topics. And so that probably would be my top um the ones that I just enjoyed and had fun doing were those two courses. And then I'd say my least favorites and the worst ones were just not even the ones that were more challenging for me because I was fine with the challenge and I was fine with putting in the work, but it was the ones that just felt like busy work, which seemed to be my senior year. So
Yes.
like my leadership classes and
Yes,
my
that's what I was going to say.
oh, those were killing me. And I'm like, I'm forgetting all the clinical skills I need to pass my NCLEX at the end of the year. As I'm going around with the health and welfare nurses and, inspecting daycares or restaurants and doing WIC classes and things that are, definitely, yes, important, but that's a very narrow focus. And for a nursing student who's trying to learn everything, that to me, and the leadership classes, and you're talking about the ethics boards, and it was just like an ice pick in my eye. Oh, no, you know what? Boom. Table that. Pharmacology. Worst.
Oh my gosh.
That just did it. Now I remember.
Yeah,
Pharmacology. PTSD. Walking
okay.
around with 350 flashcards, stacks of flashcards every week.
Oh my gosh.
Mechanism of
Okay.
action. This, that. Oh, okay, that's it. Yep, pharmacology is the worst. Moving on.
Well, I have a. Okay, so my worst one from actually nursing school, probably, it was like, I can't remember if it was actually leadership, but it was like one of those softer classes. It wasn't like
Yes.
clinical, and it was. we did a lot of group work, and I play well with others in the sandbox, but I
Yes.
was not into group projects, and it was like the nursing, which later, like now that I'm in a doctorate program, I am all about the nursing theories, but it
Right.
was like nursing theories and just like really touchy feely stuff, and I was just like, where's the blood? Come on, let's
Where's the
like.
body? Where's the body?
I know, I was in it for like the other stuff. Anyway, but my teacher was lovely, and I did enjoy it to some degree, but that was like the hardest for me because I had some people, you know how I am. I
Hmm.
ended up doing most of the work.
Right. See, and you know how I am. I'd be like, and
I
I would be
know.
like, get off your butt, or I would rat that person out. That's me. I'm that group person. Because I'm not going to drag your little shriveled corpse along and give you my A. And I'm not going to let you tank me and give it a C either.
I also had pharmacology. When you said that, I was like, I had flashbacks, but not because of the
Right?
coursework,
Oh,
but
I
because
did.
my teacher was so handsome. It was distracting.
I don't think I've ever had a. I'm not just thinking nursing school. I'm trying to think of like my entire college career. Like, where did you go to school?
Well, I went to a school next to a Navy base, and the
Mm.
pharmacology professor was a pharmacist at the Navy base, and he was like 5 minutes older than me, I think. And
Not mine.
he would come to work. I mean, he would come to the class in his like
Uniform?
Class A Navy uniform,
Ooh.
and he looked just like my husband, which I think my
Who
husband is
was
very handsome.
deployed at that point?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Carrie.
So it was very distracting. I was like, oh my gosh, you are not my husband, although you look just like him, except not in Air Force, but in a Navy
That is
suit.
too
And
funny. No, I was traumatized by pharmacology because of the coursework, and mine was this old, not like, I mean, old, but, older. He probably was my father's age, and professor, and very dry, I mean, it's pharmacology. It's like math, So
yeah,
that's funny.
yeah. I just had a very hard time concentrating on my
Oh my gosh.
coursework. But
That's
I did
hilarious.
do well. Speaking of chemistry, I did not take chemistry.
What?
Um, no, I did, but not from your dad. I
Oh, I
took
was
it.
like, hold the phone. How did you get your degree? I
I
had to
took
take a bunch of
it.
it.
I took it in Florida.
Florida,
I
yeah, you didn't take
should
it in
have
California.
took it in California when I had a tutor handy because it
Hmm.
was like so hard. I just had a hard time wrapping my head around all of the math in it because
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not a great math person,
See, and I don't
and
enjoy math, but I love applied math. So, like the sciences, chemistry, physics. Oh, I love it.
like
It's fun.
geometry I'm good with because I
Oh,
it's like I can see it, but no. So it was super hard. Luckily, the professor like graded on a curve, and
nice.
so like I think I got like maybe a 60 straight score, and then it like I got like a C plus, which I never
What?
told dad because he would have been
Would
so
have
ashamed.
He would have disowned you. That's hilarious.
But I like remember calling him and being like, "I need help. I don't understand." But he's
I
not a good tutor.
I can't calculate my moles. No, he's not. He's a horrible tutor.
And over the phone, it was even worse. And
No,
he's
I
just
can
like,
only imagine. You gotta
because
move
he's
the
like,
carbons, Carrie. How many
I'm like,
carbons do you have?
no. I'm just like, I don't get it. And he's it's really hard for any expert to. I mean, of course he was good at teaching it like step by step in his class, but like trying
Hmm.
to take an abstract problem over the phone, it was just
Forget
terrible.
about it. Forget about it.
And I
I
was
know.
like, it's okay. But the teacher, like, after he passed most of the class, because he, like, curved it, which I was like, thank you so much. He took everyone out for pizza and beer.
Oh my gosh. That's
He paid for
hilarious.
everybody. Of course, I didn't drink, but I did eat the pizza, and I was very thankful.
Well, as a starving college student, heck yeah, that's like gold.
I know. I was
That
like, oh,
is hilarious.
it was the weirdest thing because no teacher's ever done that before. But he just knew,
No.
like, it was hard. That class was super hard.
It is challenging. Okay, so we've kind of run a gamut here. I think we hit about every class that there is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to think about prerequisites because there's so many lower level, lower division courses that I took that I'm thinking, this has nothing to do with medicine. This has nothing to even abstractly do with nursing. This is nothing that's even helping me be a more well rounded student. So, for all of you, nursing majors or pre nursing majors out there who are listening, Sarah, hang in there because they really don't have anything to do with nursing, but you got to do it. Sorry.
Yeah. Except the writing classes, pay attention because please don't be a
Yes.
bad writer.
No, you need to be able to articulate yourself, definitely. All right. Okay, I think we got that one. Moving, shall we move on? Let's move on.
Yes. What's the next
Okay.
topic?
The next topic, I like this one because I've had quite a bit of experience with it, and I think depending on the area of medicine you work in, some people may have had more than others, but dealing with how to deal with the chronic, not just the chronically ill, but our chronic, specifically the non-compliant patients, while suspending judgment, because we all do. We get them, and it is so hard to stay objective sometimes. Oh, but no, it's just hard to stay objective when you see somebody in there. They're coming to the hospital for help, um, and then they go home and they don't listen. Or they may not even listen to your advice while in the hospital. And so, of course, they come back exacerbated in whatever condition. And it's really hard to suspend that judgment and not feel like, well, you put yourself here. You didn't listen to what we told you to do. We're the expert. We knew what to do. We told you what to do. We sent you home with directions and instructions. We even wrote them down for you, and you didn't follow them. So here you are again, and it's really hard not to be judgmental about that. And I don't know in OB, Carrie, what I guess what kind of, I know you've worked in other than OB, but in that realm, what kind of experience do you have with these kind of patients? Because of course your patients aren't chronically pregnant, for more than 9 months at a time. So they're acutely chronic.
No. There, yes. A lot of them, we're having more and more chronic conditions. Like people used to not they were advised against having children for a lot of different conditions that now
Right.
we have pregnancies like heart conditions and such. Um, but more so in OB, it's the people that are making what we consider poor choices, either for their health, their living situations, their choice in father the baby. Like, there's a lot of judging, and it is a very hard problem because, especially when you're trying to send a baby home with somebody and you're like, wow, this person can't even care for themselves. How are they going to care
Right.
for this baby?
Right.
Um, and so this is something that I fight myself with all the time, but I feel like I'm pretty good at it about treating everybody the same and actually treating those people with even more compassion because they really need it most of the time. But it's something I constantly battle in, like in huddles or whenever we're talking, because we talk a lot about patients throughout the day, like as leaders, as charge nurses and managers and directors. We are always talking about the patients and like how they're doing and if they're going to be going home or what surgery they need, and so you have to wrangle people in sometimes because they're like, and so came in and she was positive for like um, benzos and marijuana and da da da. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that have to do with how we're caring for her? Like, we
Right.
don't need to be judging her or saying that's why her baby's going to be in the NICU because she's here for preterm labor or whatever. I'm like, it's not productive, and it just, who cares? Like, honestly, I don't care. Of course, I don't want them to make those choices, but when they're here to be cared for, that's all that matters. And There's speaking of nursing theories, because I told you how much I love them. There's a nursing theory that's human becoming. It's Parsons' theory of human becoming, and it really explains how nurses can kind of cope with patients' view of their own health, because I think that's where the disconnect is. Because patients, say you have somebody that has hypertension and it's destroying their cardiovascular system, and we can see what it's doing to them, but they feel fine, because people with hypertension feel fine usually for a very long time.
Right.
And their definition of health is not our definition of health, and we can't like force them to change, and we shouldn't force them. We shouldn't like trick them or make them feel guilty or anything. We're there to support them, and we're there to educate them and try to like create together a new definition of health. And I think that's the only way that we can get them to be more compliant, because we we can't just keep doing the same things we're doing. Like, we could send them home with a book of instructions. They don't care. Like, we have
Right.
to get them to understand a new definition for themselves. Did I say that understandably? Because in my
No,
head, it totally makes sense.
I think that no, I think that's a really valid point because, and I think you're absolutely right. And it's something I didn't consider before, that they view themselves differently than we view them. Because to us, it's so painfully obvious where they're lacking, what they're doing wrong, or maybe not even what they're doing wrong, but what their disease state is doing to them and how they can lessen that impact or maybe slow the progression, because that's what we're trained to do. Implementation aside, because of course, we tell somebody, oh, completely change your diet and lifestyle. We look at the obesity epidemic we have in our nation, but also just among healthcare workers. We've talked to that before. We can't even follow our own advice, and so yet we judge our patients for not following the same advice that we aren't doing ourselves. And so
Right.
that's, the implementation issue of it aside, but also the perspective they're coming from. They may not view that. It's like you said, a hypertensive patient, especially initially, they aren't going to physically feel any different. So it's not like, they take their meds and they feel better, or if they don't take their meds, they don't feel better. It's not something that we're getting that immediate reaction. And so it's reinforcing a good behavior, or, like, oh gosh, I want to feel better. I'm going to take my antihypertensives. They don't have that. And there's a lot of medications like that and a lot of diseases and conditions that start out that way. And it isn't until you've really made that progression and you've become more in stage or advanced stage that they feel that day-to-day change in their body. And by then, of course, so much damage has been done. And so I think that's a really valid point, Carrie, saying that these patients, they don't view themselves the way we view them. We're telling them, you're sick. This could kill you. This could cause problems. And while we're not wrong, they don't feel any different than they did a week ago or a month ago. And so, it's how do we meet in the middle? How do we get them to buy into their health? And maybe, I don't know if it's that they don't believe us. I think it's just maybe more, maybe it's more that invincibility syndrome like, we had as teenagers. Yes, we understand that drunk driving is bad. Yes, we understand that car accidents happen. Yes, we understand we should wear a seatbelt, but that's not going to happen to me. So I don't know if it's that invincibility syndrome or if it just hasn't, it just hasn't sunk in yet, or if it's truly because they don't have an immediate cause and effect. But whatever it is, I would love to be able to bridge that gap to get the
I think
patients to buy in.
I think that it's all of those things, and then also some people's expectation of life is just different than what we think it
Hmm.
should be. Like, if everybody in their family has died when they're 50 from a heart
Right.
attack, then they're like, okay, well, then I'm going to live my life and I'm going to die probably when I'm 50 of a heart attack. And so I'm going to smoke and I'm going to have fried chicken and I don't care, because I'm going to
Right.
enjoy the 50 years that I have.
Yeah, carpe diem.
Yeah. And I think there's some validity to that. Like, I think that, I don't think that I would do that, hopefully. But I
Right.
think that I can see how people can think that,
No, and I've known
and
people
they're
like
like,
that. They just fully expected, this was my dad and my uncle and this my older
yeah,
brother, they all died and this is just my grandfather, and they were surprised when they outlived him, and it didn't even cross their mind to think like I could maybe do something to change that.
yeah. My grandfather's a good example. I mean, kind of he had a ton of stuff wrong with him earlier in life. My grandmother died when she was, oh, I can't remember, but it was in the 80s. She died in the 80s, and he bought a plot for them to be buried together eventually when he passed, and he even had like 19, like for 1900, like he had like 1980 whatever she died, and then he had his name and 19 inscribed on it
Oh,
because he knew that he would die in the 1900s. Like he had no idea that he would live into the 2000s, and he did.
oh my
it's
goodness.
it's just that mentality. Like he was like, there's no way that I'm gonna live into my 80s.
And there you
And
go.
yeah, and he was, not, he didn't smoke or anything. He just didn't think that people did not live that long
Right.
then.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of that, especially like in more rural places.
You just
People's
said
like
especially.
did I say especially?
You did.
Es- especially,
There you go.
especially,
Especially.
um, even in rural places.
Sorry.
Primarily in rural. I don't even know how to say it without saying especially. So, in rural places, I totally lost what I was going to say now.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted. Especially in rural places, they didn't live that long. Is what you're going for, I think.
No, I think just the definition of health is different. I was surprised when I came to Texas how many people smoke, because on the West Coast it is like
Taboo.
considered so taboo. Yeah, they're just like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, you smoke, and there's just such a stigma about it, and that shocked me how many people smoke, and all different types of people. Because especially like in the West Coast, you do not see young women smoking
Right.
unless they're, I mean, yeah, like really
Certain
young women,
class.
but like lots and lots of women smoke, and I was like, what the heck is going on? It was so weird to me. And people just, and it's not like a secret that smoking's bad for you.
I know, like, did you guys not get the memo? Like
But
20
it's
years ago.
just, yeah, they're just, I don't know, it's just their definition of health. They're like, I feel fine and I like it.
Yeah. I will say, as the ex med surg nurse who's spent her years in the trenches, it is infuriating to see this chronic patient, the chronic non-compliant patient. Let me stress that the non-compliant patient is what we're talking about here. Come back and back and back again, whether it's your pancreatitis patient, your CHFer who's in exacerbation again, your COPDer who's a 2 pack a day smoker and has been for the last 50 years, who's in exacerbation, and they're blaming it on the forest fires that are going on. Your CHFer who still eats french fries every other day and refuses to do a daily weight and cut back on their sodium or take their diuretics because it makes them pee too much during the night. It's so frustrating clinically to see these people come back who are um, choosing. They're not ignorant. They are making a fairly educated choice not to treat themselves, and yet then they come in and want you to fix them. That's
Yeah.
where it gets very, very frustrating, and it is very hard not to be judgmental, and it's very hard not to be, and knowing that you're not going to get reimbursed for that visit
Yeah,
because
it costs a
they
ton
just
of
left.
money.
Yeah, and the way Medicare and reimbursement goes, if you're getting a readmission within your 30 days or whatever for the same thing, you're getting, that is a free stay at your little hotel hospital there because it looks like we didn't adequately treat you, educate you, give you follow-up care, medication, when sometimes that's just not the case. And so sometimes we're working like dogs on these people for free. And so it's very frustrating. And you just want to be like, just do what we say. But of
I
course,
know.
we can't force them. We can't make them change their lifestyles as much as we like to. We can't follow them home and, clean out their cupboards and put healthy snacks in there. um, so that's where it does get frustrating to just suspend your judgment and to just treat them objectively and treat their symptoms and continue with that education. Give them more CHF teaching. See if you can find resources that are applicable to them. Get to maybe try to know a little bit of their lifestyle and maybe why they're struggling so much with
Oh yeah, being creative
interventions.
about how to get them to be compliant. Like I had one gentleman who had a heart attack and he would not take his medicine, like his hypertension medicine. And I was talking to him like, hey, I know you smoke. I'm not trying to tell you to stop smoking, although that would be awesome. But do you like buy a carton of cigarettes or do you go down to the gas station every day and get a pack of cigarettes? And he's like, "Oh, I go every day and get one." I was like, "Okay. So every day when you go get that, I want you to keep your medicine in your car in your pickup and take it when you go to the
Right, because
get your
that's your
cigarettes."
routine.
Yeah, because he just couldn't remember, and we tried like, okay, set a timer, all this stuff. I'm like, just remember, this is you're smoking. You're gonna offset that with this pill, and I want you to remember to take it every day.
There you
And
go.
and he was like, what the heck, lady? Like, okay, but sometimes you have to be creative.
Right.
But
And
I
to
had
really
this other patient that was like heartbreaking, Erin. She was so young, and she had type 1 diabetes, which is so hard.
mhm.
Type 1 diabetes is just really hard to manage for some people. I mean, for all people, but it's super hard for some people. And
Some
she
people are just
just
so much
wanted
more
to
fragile.
be. They are, and she just wanted to be young. And when you're like a teenager or a young adult,
It's so hard.
think about when you were like that, and I was like that. We did not think about what we ate
No,
or
and they
how late
feel
we
they
stayed
want to fit
up, or
in and they don't want to be a freak that's having to check their blood sugars and inject themselves or have a pump or figure their carbs and their ratios and they want to just
yeah.
ignore it and then they end up
She
in
would
DKA and they pick you.
Yeah, she would come in DKA like every other week.
Oh,
And
yep.
eventually, we all knew she would die, and she did die. And we were
Yeah.
all devastated because we just knew it was a matter of time before she
Oh,
died.
that is
And
so
there
sad.
was nothing we could do to convince her that this is not the way to live. It was very sad.
That's just, I know, it is. It's heartbreaking and it's so frustrating sometimes. I mean, I've sat there talking to grown adults, sometimes just feeling like their parent trying to teach them, and it's because you want to fix them and you want to make everybody better because we feel like that's our job. But maybe they just view our job as to just give them help in the meantime or help them learn and then they can make their own choices. So it's definitely I think it's a hard thing to do. Sometimes it's certainly easier than others, but when we see those chronic patients that are just not listening, it can be really tough. But try to just take a step back. You're not there to cure them. You're not there to make it all go away. You're just treating them acutely in the moment and obviously talking down to them or thinking poorly about them isn't going to help you give them the best care. And it's probably going to interfere with maybe trying to think outside the box and how you can really, curtail your personalize your treatment plan and maybe, help them out a little bit more than the last nurse did.
Yeah. And people need like so many touch points before they actually change. I mean,
Right.
it's a lot of work. But hopefully, if you can just help, not everybody, you can always help them, like Aaron's saying, like acutely. But eventually, there's going to be some people that like they recreate their definition of health and they change what they're doing, and it
Yeah.
benefits them.
You'll get through to some of them, not everyone. Some of them they're going to be belligerent and they're going to ignore you and they're going to do what they want and we got to just deal with that and move on. So, okay. All right, Carrie. Next one. Speaking of moving on, should we keep going?
This podcast is brought to you by Pharmacology, a great subject, unless it's taught by somebody that looks like your husband.
I don't think it's a great subject at all, although I did learn from it. It's also brought to you by McDonald's with those salty french fries that will keep your non compliant diabetics and CHFers coming right back to you. Nothing like job security, girls.
Bum 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 bum. I'm loving it. Oh gosh, do we have any other
I,
sponsors
I actually
today?
have one more sponsor. This podcast is
Okay.
also brought to you by Google, educating your patients when you don't.
That's so funny. We have a question from about Google. It's
What?
like
I
you read
had no
ahead.
idea.
Okay, I'm going to read this question. Are you ready for it?
Oh, hit me.
Okay. Dear Carrie and Aaron, patients are always telling me what they found on Google. How can I educate them when they already think they have a medical degree?
You can't. No, just kidding. Dear Dr. Google, my
um,
Google app told me that my A1C of 7.5 is completely fine. And that you're just making a big deal out of nothing.
well, I think we should have full disclosure because we have spent plenty of time on Google and texting each other about various ailments.
This is so true. We've diagnosed ourselves and most of our family with many diseases
Yes.
with the help of Google. And when I'm at home and it's 2 in the morning and I can't remember the mgs per kilo on ibuprofen, and because am I
Uh
mixing it
huh.
up with Tylenol and I'm sleep deprived for my, I'm all about Google, man. I'm looking that up.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great tool, but I think you have to be a little savvy about how you use it and also
Absolutely.
know that I think every medical site, there's a huge disclaimer that says this is not to be used as medical advice.
Right. In the place of professional medical evaluation. Now, I'm not saying to blindly follow your physician's advice because we call it practicing medicine for a reason. And although there's evidence based practice and research that's continually being done, you will find differences in the way physicians practice from not even town to town and region to region, but even from physician to physician in the same hospital. So don't blindly follow your physician's advice. Definitely research it, but look at the sources you're looking at. Go, the WHO, go to the CDC, go to, Mayo Clinic, go to places that are legitimate medical sources. And if you don't understand what you're reading, get somebody to help you instead of misinterpreting it. With that being said, if you have an educated medical professional telling you something that Google doesn't agree with, it might be Google that's wrong. I'm just saying.
Yes.
It might be your doctor. Yes, that is absolutely true. There could be that chance that you got that doc that's just off the wall or really crappy. But maybe a little more likely, Google just might be letting you down that day.
Yeah, and definitely don't get your medical advice from like Yahoo Answer. Like,
Oh, no.
please. Those chats are terrible. They're terrible.
You know what? Oh, the Facebook ones. That's what gets me. When somebody posts something about usually it's their child on Facebook, and there may or may not be an accompanying picture from a rash or something, and like, what do you think? Should I take them to the doctor? What would you guys do? I love that like blanket. I'm looking for open-ended help on Facebook.
Right.
That just
Right.
kills me. I'm like, get your kid to the doctor if you're really that concerned. Get
Yes.
them in the car.
Or text your sister pictures and ask her because I love that.
All the time. Sister, friends. And for those of you who do, it's fine. I really don't care. But I always tell people, now, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, and it's really hard to tell.
I don't do rashes very well. Like that's
Rashes are
not
hard.
in my repertoire.
I've
Like
sent I've sent you rashes of, well, okay, I haven't given you that didn't come out right. I've sent you pictures of
you
my
gross.
children's of my children's rashes. No, but in all
Rashes are hard.
seriousness, when I was in pediatrics, I'm naughty because this is just coming off the cuff. If I'd thought about it ahead of time, I would have researched the story. But there was a news story where I believe a mother posted a video of her infant in respiratory distress on Facebook. Rather than taking the child in for evaluation, posted it on Facebook asking people if they thought, what they thought, if this was a problem. And the child actually ended up dying from respiratory failure
Oh my
because they did
gosh.
not receive medical treatment. So please, please, please don't use Facebook or Google in lieu of an ER or in lieu of prompt medical care. Definitely get a second opinion. Research, what your doctor tells you. If you don't feel right about it, ask for another physician in the hospital. But please don't use Google to treat your child or yourself or refuse your medical care.
Right.
So I don't know, when my patients do, because I've definitely heard this before, when my patients come at me with the Dr. Google line, it's hard not to be condescending. I'll be honest. It's hard not to be like, did you go to nursing school? Did you go to medical school for 12 years? Like, or however many with their fellowships and their internships and their residencies and blah, 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 blah. It's hard not to be condescending because you kind of want to do that, but to just be like, okay, well, what are your specific concerns, or maybe what part don't you understand, and try to address that aspect rather than just telling them you're being ridiculous. You just need to do what we say because we know what we're talking about.
No, that is definitely something I've heard people say, but it's not
Mhm.
something that you should probably say because then it feeds into that mentality that's out there that
Mhm.
physicians and nurses like are going to tell you wrong
Right.
for whatever reason, which
Yeah,
we don't have that motivation.
you
But
certainly don't get them endeared to you, and they're not going to be listening to your advice.
no, my strategy when they hit me with that Dr. Google stuff, I'm like, oh, I am so excited that you have been looking this up. That means you really care about
Ooh,
whatever.
that's a good
And
one.
then I say, so what have you learned? And then they tell me, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And then we talk about the real stuff, and like maybe some of the stuff is good. Um, and then I try to just give them information because we have a ton of resources that we can print stuff out and
Right.
so I do that way. I like say yes. I love that you are an informed patient,
Very
and then I
good. Then you're
disabuse
like on
them
their
of all of their
side.
yeah.
You are
Especially in
sneaky.
OB, there are so many things,
Oh
and
yeah. The 20-page birth
I keep an
plan.
open mind because I used to be like, okay, I think I've talked about this before, but I don't think on this podcast about a lot of like kind of the hippie type of stuff and crunchy granola type stuff.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what the heck? What are you thinking? And then like fast forward 10 years and it's all evidence based practice and we're doing it everywhere.
I know. Imagine that. You've published a few articles about that, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm like, I know I've talked about this before somewhere, but
I
yeah,
loved. I
because
remember I read an article you wrote about that, about you bringing some granola to your practice, and I loved it. So we do. We can't just discount other outside sources. We certainly need to be constantly looking, and that's how medicine evolves, and changes, and we become better. But we need to go through good sources, trusted sources, medically backed sources, not Wikipedia or somebody's opinion who could be completely
yes.
making something up because they were bored one afternoon. So, and no
Oh my
Yahoo
gosh.
answers.
Yes, no, that's
And if it's ever a
bad.
respiratory problem, get to the dang hospital.
Yes, it
So,
is always okay to just go. And then when you're there, ask the physician, the nurse, or whoever, what should I be looking for in the future so I don't come here when I don't need to? Because they will let you know. Because we don't want people to come and waste their time and money and resources when they don't
right.
have to.
Absolutely.
But if you have a feeling like you should go, always trust that and
Go
then get
with it.
educated on why that feeling was wrong that time.
Definitely. No, it's so true, especially parents. I always tell parents, go with your gut because you would rather be proven wrong than be at home proven right that you should have taken your kid in, and now it's maybe too late, or things have gotten, they've escalated quickly. So yeah, go with your gut every time, whether it's for yourself, for your kid, or even your spouse. When you're like, no, your butt's getting in the car, we're going, we're going now.
No, yeah. No, yeah. Like my mother was like, didn't. She thought she was okay one time. Took one look at her, and I was like, "We're going to the ER."
You're like, we're going on a field trip, mama.
Yeah, and she was very sick, very very sick.
Yep. Good judgment call.
Sometimes you just have to go. Don't
Yep.
Google and try to figure it out yourself.
Just
For
do it.
goodness sakes.
Just go. Just go. Just go.
All
Okay.
right.
Nurses in the news. What do you have for us this week, Carrie?
Okay, this is like the best.
I will admit, when I saw the topic, I saw the link before I clicked on it to see what it was. This is not at all what I pictured. I was like, what? It looked I thought it was kind of like lame, but I thought, oh, okay. So, but I was pleasantly surprised.
We've all, I don't know, I've quit work before. Sometimes you quit because you really don't like working there. And this resonated with me because there was a nurse that, okay, first of all, nurses love cake. So,
Yes. We love any food you bring us, but big old huge sheet cakes, those are the bomb.
it's very popular. Yes, I mean, this is like a staple of the nursing lounge. So, this nurse decided that she was going to resign by writing on the cake and bringing it in for everybody.
We're gonna
So,
have to
Erin, what
post
does
this
it
picture.
say?
Okay, we're gonna post this picture on our website, guys. So to read along with us, go to statsisters.com. And on the top, I love how there's a demarcation line going on here. On the top in red, it says Forensics 2 Swing Shift. I heart you with an exclamation point. It's very cute. And then there's big old black line, and in black angry writing below that it's dated 6/23/16, Western State Hospital. I quit. 3 exclamation points. Official notice. Sincerely, Sarah Childers RN. I'm like, you've got a date, you've got official stating, you're telling them that you're quitting, it's addressed to them. I don't think you need anything else.
No, I think that counts.
I think that totally counts. I don't know if it makes her rehireable.
No, I think that they would still have to say she's rehireable.
If
It's an official notice.
she'd have to give her 2 or 3 weeks though.
Yeah.
This looks like a I'm leaving today thing. But either way, I love it. It cracks me up. So this was a nurse up in Washington State who this is how she gave her resignation notice to her hospital. I love it.
So I don't know. I love it too. I think it's like really great, and I've definitely felt like that before. Not just nursing jobs, but other jobs where I'm like, oh, the counting down the days till I
Right.
can quit. But I don't think this is a good move. Although
Well,
funny.
in reality, probably not the best career move because it's not going to. Cause like I said, this doesn't look like I'm going to give you my 3 weeks notice move. This is I'm walking off the shift today. So you're not rehireable, honey, unfortunately. And obviously, maybe unless she was just a fit thrower, there was probably valid reasons. And most of the time, when we all feel like walking off the job, there are valid reasons. But might not have been the best career move. But it's really funny.
No. It is really funny. But yeah, definitely my advice would be to never burn a bridge, no matter how much you just want to be like,
How
I'm
much you wanna-
done. I don't care if you ever hire me back.
Right?
You
Don't throw
cannot
that
burn
stick
bridges.
of dynamite. Once you throw that dynamite, it's gone.
No, don't do it because nursing's such a small world, and you're gonna see these people again
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
somewhere else.
And you'll be known as that cake nurse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She's on
I
her
don't know.
podcast. She's famous now.
Did it have like custard? I know, true. Worldwide fame now. Sorry, Sarah Childers
Hey,
RN.
we have listeners in what, Hong Kong?
Hong Kong and Australia, baby.
Oh yeah, and I saw one from Japan. There was one.
Ooh. So I wonder, I don't know, does she get any kind of like, did she save any face if there's custard filling in there instead of like nasty lemon? I'm just saying she'd earn points in my book. All right.
All
Sarah
right.
Childers, wherever you are out there, we salute you.
I hope in my head, in my story I've made about her, she quit nursing altogether and now she owns a bakery.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Although the cake wasn't that pretty. So good luck. Good luck on your bakery. I hope everything works out for you sincerely.
Although, if you read the story, that's not what happened. I'm saying, and so in all fairness, let's not paint Sarah Childers in the wrong way. So she was upset because she felt that the staff wasn't properly trained at the hospital and that the management focused more on disciplining the employees for their mistakes rather than education. In addition, the nurses were paid low, they had low pay and really long hours, and that was just something that she didn't want to be a part of anymore. That was not a ship she wanted to sail, so she wanted to make her coworkers laugh when she left because she really enjoyed working with them, but she wanted to send a message to the management. So she actually had the cake delivered, and I think they got the message that she wasn't happy.
I
So,
think you're right.
anyways, that was her way of trying to affect some change, and she, I think I can respect not wanting to be part of an unsafe environment. I think, well, you can always stick it out for your two weeks notice or your 3 weeks notice, but if you're in a truly unsafe environment and you feel like your patients are in jeopardy or your license might be in jeopardy because of the position your employer's putting you in, I could see why somebody, every shift, that they're coming back to work for those 2 or 3 weeks, you're kind of rolling the dice. So who knows, maybe that's what she was feeling, but it made some headlines, and it gave us a chuckle. I thought it was kind of interesting. So not the way you should probably quit your next job though.
No. I'm going to remember that one, though.
I know.
Just
Peace,
in case
peace
down the
out,
road.
suckers.
Like, want to make this departure as sweet as possible. Just like me.
Just like I am. So you're gonna walk in and like throw it down in the conference table with like all the big wigs. You're like, boom.
No, I would
There
never.
we go. No, only in your dream. And then you'll draft a nice, polite, professional email. But in my mind, I was like throwing it down in front of him. Take that.
I am never leaving St. Mungo's.
Well,
Ever.
not St. Mungo's. This is true. St. Mungo's is amazing. So, all right.
Magical.
It's magic. Have we hit all of our topics for the day?
Yeah, I think that we have completed this podcast.
Fabulous.
Oh, what did we learn today?
Oh my good heavens, we've learned so much. We've yammered on again. We have learned that we all hated pharmacology for one reason or another.
Yeah, some of them are weirder than others. We've learned that neither you or me like group projects. But we have different ways of dealing with them.
I do okay with group projects. I just make sure nobody's slacking.
You're like the taskmaster of the group project.
Whoosh. I never said I didn't like them.
Well, maybe we didn't. We learned that I didn't really like them. But although I do enjoy this group project that we are in together.
This is true. This is true. I quite enjoy. I will say I had a fabulous group in my nursing school. I had an awesome group whenever we did group projects, and I am still total buds with most of them, which is why I'm saying this right now so they don't hate on me. Jenny, Beth, shout out. You girls are great. Rochelle. No, we really did. We had it. The group project thing was not an issue. We didn't have any slackers. Everybody's really smart. We had it. It was a good balanced team. So
I know. Now I feel bad. Thanks. I've had some really great partners too, but just the bad
sure.
ones stick out in my head. What else have we learned? Let's move on. We've learned that it is important important to suspend judgment, and also that we need to help co-create a new health care reality for our patients so that they can understand that they can live a different way
There
and
you
have
go.
a new health definition for themselves.
All right. Boom. That's a lot. That's a lot of intellectual stuff today. My brain's a little
Oh,
tired.
yeah. I hope this wasn't boring for people. It was so academic.
I know. We should eat some cake. That would help. I know where we can
As
get a
long
really good one. We just would have to go to Washington.
That's not too far away from you.
No, this is
It's
true.
very far away from me.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Be looking for our Fantastic Beasts giveaway coming up later this week. Be sure to like us on Facebook and like, comment, and share our post when you see it for the giveaway of our illustrated Harry Potter books. So it's going to be running, remember, from November 18th through December 1st. So you have a couple weeks to get your actions in there, and we'll be announcing the winner, and you can pick which one you want. It's gonna be fun.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
All right. Well, I think that wraps
Okay.
it up for today, Miss Carrie.
Okay. Well, let's say goodbye then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
I'll talk to you later.